Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to NextDoorNetAdmin. It is the last Monday of the month, and I've kind of made the arbitrary decision that the last Monday of the month is kind of going to be a freeform. I don't have any specific topic to talk about, so I'm just going to talk about what's new and exciting with me. And in this case, go through what my past week has been like, just to give you an idea of the kind of things that I'm working with on the daily basis, so to speak. Let's start with Monday last week. Monday, I was working late because I had to set up a conversion of a VMware virtual machine, which is a virtual machine running in a particular hypervisor product. And I had to set up a conversion / migration of that into Microsoft Azure, which is their cloud product. That's not exactly as simple as you might think. As you would expect, moving a virtual machine into Azure comes with its own challenges. You don't have a traditional console to attach to run DISM to do a disk part migration like I've demonstrated previously. You don't have all of the same ability to set boot CDs or different images, etc. But they do have a process outlined for doing this conversion. It's involved. You can go for the less involved version or the more involved version. I only had one virtual machine to convert, so I went for the less involved version. It still took me about 5 to 6 hours to set up and then iron out all the kinks in the process to actually get it going. But it's going, and that's the important part. Tuesday night, I was up late because we had a major switch replacement to do at one client, and you gotta be available. As a network admin, you've got to be available. Even if somebody else is physically replacing the equipment, you need to be around because you never know what might come up. And as an example, the old switch had ports that went 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way across the top, and then on the bottom, 25, 26, 27, etc. The new switches went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. So, given that the cables are already pre-terminated to a certain length and you can't extend those cables, in order to do a proper switch replacement, you're going to have to translate the ports from here's port 4, now I need to move it down to port 4. Here's port 10, I need to move this to port 10, and so on and so forth. And so I had to think of how I was going to translate it and how I was going to rewrite all the code in this particular switch. Again, not challenging in and of itself, just time consuming. And when you're on the clock and somebody else is relying on you to do the work so that they can get on with their work at 9:30 p.m. Okay, fine. It took me about 40 minutes, dumped the new configuration code in, and everything was good to go in time so that we didn't waste a bunch of time. So that was good. Tuesday, I also had a major upset at another client where we changed the corporate wireless network password. This password has not been changed since 2016-ish. So there were a lot of legacy devices, we'll put it that way, and a lot of devices that we didn't expect. For example, we did not expect that there were 43 air conditioners on this particular corporate network that really shouldn't have been there. So then it's run around and try and figure out, okay, so where are these going? We should have a separate wireless network for this. Yes, absolutely we should. All right, let's roll that out. Okay, I've got 3 different legacy systems to make sure that they're all configured the same way, and then make sure that they're configured to go into the same network and all that jazz. Craziness. Thursday, setting up switches across another client, this one further geographically removed. They've run new fiber lines. Cool. They haven't told us that there's new requirements for how many ports are supposed to be configured. Not so cool. But again, you do what you have to, and you make lemons out of lemonade wherever you can. But it's still a bit of a challenge. On the weekend, I went and I was assisting with some IT work for a nonprofit that I've been working with since 2007. And we needed to do kind of an inventory and audit of all of the IT equipment. Have you ever heard a network admin or another IT person talk about the magic smoke? The magic smoke, I am told, is a very essential part of all modern electronics, such that if you let out the magic smoke, it don't work anymore. So imagine just for a moment that I'm sitting here going through a bunch of printers. We turn a printer on, let's print a test page, and what you see is this. A little concerning at first. I thought, did we just burn this up? What's going on here? It turned out that was just steam. The printers had been stored in a storage facility, and of course, it's been raining dogs and cats for quite some time over here. And they had paper in them. Paper absorbs quite a bit of humidity from the air. And this was not a climate-controlled storage unit. So the paper was practically soggy. Not soggy, but damp enough that when you run it through a laser printer, it heats it up to fuse the toner into the paper, and the paper steams. Something fierce. The toner was dead, shot. These were secondhand printers when they were purchased. And I don't think the toner's ever been replaced. So, okay, fine. Well, we get new toner, and it turns out it still prints fine. So that's good. We did not let out the magic smoke. But, yeah, that's what I did on my weekend, was do more IT work, because that's the kind of guy I am. So yeah, it's been a very, 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 very busy week. Aside from my daily day in, day out work routines, some other things that have been interesting is the fact that I got on Friday morning, I got my notification that my Framework laptop is about ready to ship. I pre-ordered the Framework Laptop 16. If you have not heard of Framework, they are a laptop company that is focused on making modular, upgradable, repairable laptops. Modular laptops have been seen in the past, and typically a company will come out, make big promises about how it's going to be modular and you're going to be able to get new parts and you're going to be able to upgrade things and they're going to release new parts, and they've all disappeared within a year, couple years, maybe 3 at most. Framework started back in 2021. So they've been out for 3 years, and they have actually delivered on new parts. They came out with 2 new Intel CPU upgrades for their earlier laptop, the Framework Laptop 13. They've come out with an AMD processor for it. They've come out with new revisions of their modular ports that you can install along the sides of the laptop. So they have some track record now. And I was like, okay, this is a company that's actually delivering on what they promised. I'm going to go for this. The Framework Laptop 16 also has a modular GPU. Again, it's been tried before with not a lot of success. I mean, the parts worked, but there was no real longevity to the concept. I have my hopes that this time will be different because it's coming from a company, again, with a bit of a track record that has actually delivered on what they've promised, and that's exciting. So I am hoping to get that relatively soon. Everybody wants to see it at work, at home. My friends want to see it. I've remarked a couple times, I'm going to have to take it on practically a 2-week road show just to show everybody what it is and open it up and go, here, look at it on the inside. And I'm going to have to do this for quite some time before I actually get to use it. But I'm okay with that because companies that do good work, I like to share good work. Another thing that I did this week, a little different, was I actually stopped by my old university where I got my bachelor's degree way back in the dawn of time in like 2009. I know, dawn of time. I'm so old, right? But it's kind of fun going in there and tracking down my old program assistant who was assisting us with the computing program at the time. And she's like, oh, hey, I got your email. Yeah, of course I still remember you. It's like, yay! It's nice to know that, it's nice in some respects to know that you're still memorable after 15 years because a university has tons of students, tons of them. They come, they go, they do their program, they leave. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like, you were here 15 years ago? Oh, yeah, nice to see you again. But cool. But this one was, no, I totally remember you. I'm like, I was that weird, huh? And they're like, no, not weird. I'm like, okay, unique? Are we going to go with unique? She's eclectic. You were very eclectic. Sure, that's another word to describe me. Why not? Eclectic. But it was nice to go in and see a familiar face and catch up. Okay, here, all the stuff that's happened, in the years. This is not the first time that I've gone back to my old university, but it's the first time that I've gone back and been able to track down my old program assistant. So it was nice to be able to catch up, 15 years worth of major highlights at least. For example, my department that I took my computing degree with, they are now officially a school of computing. That's kind of cool. They've moved into a new building. It used to be the trades building where you had all like welding, aircraft mechanics, heavy duty equipment, and now this is the school of computing. I was like, that's different. I did not anticipate that. I would not have anticipated that in a million years. I'm like, where's our networking lab? I looked, and the networking lab is still there. It's a little smaller because for some reason they've shrunk it by a corridor width so that they could put a corridor from a hallway that's essentially a dead end to create a new dead end. And then they made the wall into the networking lab completely glass. It looks cool. I don't know why it's there. Again, this is at the end of a long hallway, dead end. There's nothing out there except a fire escape. It's not like we have a lot of people walking back and forth to be able to peer through the glass and see the wonder that is our advanced networking lab. So I'm not 100% sure why they did it, but they did it. It looks cool. All right, why not? I'm not the one there. But it was cool to go back and be able to see, hey, nope, this is still the advanced networking lab because I can see it through the glass now. And know that there's still people there, most of whom I don't know after 15 years, that you've got staff turnover, you've got faculty turnover, but some I do, and they still remember me, and that's kind of cool. At least that was really cool for me. And those are basically the highlights of my week. Everything from server migrations to switch replacements to wireless shenanigans, to more fiber link shenanigans, to printers that look like they're letting out the magic smoke, but it turns out it's just a steamy day and a steamy session with your printers. He's like, sure, why not? So, I mean, hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about my week, and hopefully you look forward to more of these freeforms. Again, I'm going to try and do a freeform like this last Monday of every month. So we'll see how it goes. I don't have a lot of comments to respond to at the moment, so that might be something that I do in future freeforms. Who can say? But I hope you enjoyed this one. Thank you for joining me. I am your NextDoorNetAdmin. See you later.
Hot off the press.